Test, test, test. One, two, three. What's going on, guys? Hope you guys are all having a great morning. Yeah, my name's Ricky. This is with Learn, Plan, and Profit. So I know this might be some of your guys' first live stream. Normally, what we do is I go live. I talk about a series of patterns or stocks that I see value in for this specific morning. So it's 3:43. It's about 13 minutes after the market opens. I'm going to start sharing my screen, and you guys can uh, I want to talk about how the current market is acting right now. I don't know if you guys saw, but um, not just maybe the stock that you're trading, but a series of other like major companies are pulling back, pushing up, pulling back, pushing up, and I'm just going to talk a little bit more about that and kind of like what I'm doing because I'm actually currently invested in one specific company. I believe I'm up last time that I checked, so I'm going to show you guys my screen and then kind of go from there. Hope you guys enjoy, and then again, feel free to comment if you guys want on the live stream. Let me just make sure that you guys can somewhat see me like this. I need to go a little bit more this way. Okay, you guys don't even care about seeing me, but yeah, for those that do, here I am. As you guys can see, there's this like pullback that continues to happen. There's a lot of consolidation. You guys can see this with GDS. You guys can see this with BABA. You guys can see this with FB, right? And it should be with every major company, if I'm not mistaken. It should have somewhat pulled back and stuff like that. And I think it has to do with how the overall market is doing as of right now. So one thing that I would take into consideration, so because I'm invested in, like, let's say, for example, GDS, right? We're able to identify kind of like the low points. We're able to identify kind of the high points. I did not do the best job of locking in profits as I should have right at the peak. So we saw that there was somewhat of a resistance right here, right around 38.40. I saw it push up to 38.40 right as the market opened. It was just a little bit too quick for me. Again, I was on my phone right as it pushed up. Something that I could have been a little bit more active on is that, as this thing pushed up, I could have locked in profit right away. I could have walked away, locked in profit, and would have been super happy with, what it is that I did on this one. Would have been a little bit over 1%, not a huge amount, but again, I still would have been completely happy. For those that want to see kind of like my position and stuff like that right now, on the open, I'm down $175. My average is at 37.97. And yeah, I mean, that's really just it when it comes down to my average position. I was up just a couple minutes ago, and this is a one-day swing trade. So as the market opened, I could have been way up as I bought in yesterday, right? So that allowed me and gave me the opportunity to lock in profits at a much quicker pace. But as we could see, it's still kind of showing signs of a descending pattern. There's no real signs. Well, there we go. So it just made lower lows for the open. We're right here, right around 37.55. Let's go ahead and see if we can give it just a little bit more time. But one thing that I found very interesting is that JNUG started to kind of almost offer that same similar pattern where it peaked out and then sold off. We're approaching this SMA line. Do you guys see this? This SMA line is normally where that support should be. It's where it was bouncing at yesterday. The MACD looks overextended. It looks very oversold, right? So if we get a bounce, it might be around this general area. I would be very patient and wait for the confirmation first. I would also look at the direction that /GC is moving. So look, we saw that JNUG is pushing down, right? So something should have happened with /GC. No, it doesn't actually look like anything happened too aggressively with JNUG itself or with /GC. So with /GC and how it's trading, it's still trading between the middle and top VWAP. One thing that you want to take into consideration it's been making lower highs. So as this thing pushed up, it can 100% continue to trend down. If we see /GC trend down, then JNUG will most likely follow. Again, they're not exact mirror images of one another, and that's something that we have to take into consideration. But also almost understand that it almost peaked out at around like that 12.20 price point, and we just want to make sure that we understand that, okay, so that's currently the resistance, and let's take a little bit more of a step back and see kind of like where /GC is heading. Let's go ahead and give it just a second to load. Let's see. All right. So as of right now, forward slash GC on the 180-day chart. Again, it's done this before where it tries to reverse, right? And then gets rejected. Descends, descends, descending pattern, tries to reverse. We have no full confirmation. So the EMA line is definitely pointing up, right? The EMA line is pointing up, but not the SMA line, right? As of right now, the MACD is showing signs of a peak formation. The RSI is showing that it's very overbought. So it makes sense on why forward slash GC can get rejected, which is not in favor of JNUG. So if this thing gets rejected, that means that JNUG will start pulling back. And that's definitely something that we want to take into consideration before taking our next position as a swing trade. As a day trade, I'd like to focus on whatever's trading in between the middle and top view up and trade based off of that. That makes a lot of sense, right? That's very simple. But when it comes down to overall swing trades, a lot of you guys have been asking, hey, is JNUG a swing trade? Is DGAS a swing trade now? When taking, these overall patterns into consideration, the same thing can kind of happen with forward slash NG. So we know that when forward slash NG pulls back, DGAS goes up. Do you see what might act as a potential support for natural gas to bounce, right? Right here, this overall SMA indicator, right? It could act as a support, which can then lead to a bounce for forward slash NG. And with that understanding, that means that then DGAS will start to pull back and natural gas will push up. And we don't know how much it will push up. We know that, yes, natural gas was way overbought when it was over here, and it started to get rejected. Now we want to make sure that we're very cautious around this price point. So I would call this a critical price point to make sure that we all understand that it could potentially bounce here, but it could potentially continue to descend. So as long as we set an alert, let's say for the break below, let's say this specific price point. So right here, we'll set an alert. And if it goes below this specific price point, then we'll set an alert and we can kind of go from there. And if it starts to reverse back up and start to make higher highs, then that's in favor of forward slash NG and UGAS as well. So then maybe we don't want to trade DGAS for that day, right? When this thing starts to make higher highs. So this can give us a better indication in the direction that natural gas is going, which will then give us a better understanding on what to focus our attention on. So it looks like GDS actually pulled back a little bit more than expected. All these others should have followed as well. There we go. Yeah, down 1%. That's a pretty solid sell-off. And today might be a red day for the overall market. And if we start seeing this, this is a great way to position it. And this is kind of like where I want to leave it at. So I don't have too much time. I have to kind of resume. Well, let me just continue with this. So BABA had a huge sell-off as of right now. And this, I think, the best way to put it into perspective. Not only with BABA, not only with Facebook did we see a sell-off as of right now. Not only did we see this with GDS as of right now. Yeah, GDS is selling off like no other. Wow. I'm definitely gonna have to cut losses on this one. And then we should see a sell-off on what is it? Is it AMD? There we go. Huge sell-offs. So with that understanding, and these aggressive sell-offs, if you're not invested in any of these positions, then guess what? You can wait for them to all sell off. You can wait for the market to kind of, for all that hype and all that selling off to die out, and it builds all this margin for recovery. I think that's the best way to look at it. I'm already invested in GDS, so let's say I'm kind of stuck unless I cut losses. I'm not even down that much when it comes down to percentage loss. It's just the dollar value that might seem a little scary. But do you see, like, as quick as it dropped, it has these nice little pops up. And I just want you guys to take that into consideration that, as of right now, as the market is selling off, there is no reason that you guys even have to take a position. If you guys feel 100% comfortable with just taking a step back and being extremely cautious about, the next position that you take, just focus on whatever's actively trending up. And as we can see right now for these major companies, a lot of them are not actively trending up. So what's something that we can do? Not trade, Let's set our alerts. Once those alerts are triggered and once you see the overall direction moving back up, then great, you invest in your money where you see that value. But as of right now, I definitely don't see that for myself. So I saw that based on a swing trade, based on GDS showing signs of a potential continuous uptrend pattern. But now we're seeing a market sell off, and that's with, a series of major, stocks. And that's just, let's see how this is doing. No, Apple didn't get affected by that. So there's definitely some that are still showing signs of an uptrend pattern. There's some that are not. So it's just something that we'll have to follow up with. So I want to see what you guys have to say and kind of go based off of that. Yeah, so can you tell us why you didn't cut losses? So one thing that I saw GDS as was more of a swing trade than a day trade, right? Because of the continuous uptrend pattern that it's been shown within the past couple of days. I've been watching it. I've been trying to identify its pattern and its direction. If you look at, let's say, a 5-day analysis, it's been continuously making higher highs. Some days it does have sell-offs, but then it continues to have an uptrend pattern. And with that understanding, like my entry point was definitely not the best entry. I could have locked in profits right away. I was up well over $300 when it was hitting highs of 38, 47. Even at 38.40, which again I'm not trying to always sell at the highest price point. After it hit highs of 38.40, I was getting my order ready to sell, but it didn't go as like I wasn't able to sell it quick enough. So it pulled back, and one thing that I focus on a little bit more is a break of pattern, and that's when I cut losses. So as of right now, as it's showing more signs of an ascending uptrend pattern in the overall direction that I first originally saw value in, that pattern is still valid. It's still showing signs of an ascending uptrend pattern. It's just pulling back. Yes, it was down about 2%. Now it's down 1.6%, and it might seem like a lot of money because of the dollar value that I have invested. But again, to go back to the basics, I invested in GDS because of a specific pattern of it making higher highs, and that pattern is still not broken just because it pulls back for a little bit because of overall market conditions. Because I know that it's not just GDS due to news that's pulling back. I know that it's the overall market that's pulling back, although the market was doing just fine the past 2 days. So I try to focus a little bit more on that rather than a specific price point. But 100%, I could have cut losses right away, and if I want to manage my risk, I could have managed my risk at 1 or 2%, but I should have locked in profits first. So that's why I still have not. But yeah, just wanted to share that with you guys. As of right now, we're still trading in between the middle and bottom view up. Signs still of a downward pattern. The MACD looks good, but again, with all this like volume of and hype of it selling off, I don't think volume is going to be a huge factor on this. I think we have to focus more on the pattern and give it more time for it to consolidate. So yeah, so I think you might be answering someone's question, right? So WTI is oil based more on forward/CL. So yeah, it's something that we trade multiple times. So WTI, what is it? FTR, Gush. There's a couple others that we kind of use UWT, if I'm not mistaken, /GC into consideration and stuff like that. So what's going on, Ish? Let's see. I see what you're saying. Yeah, there's been a lot of questions about the trade deal going between the United States and Mexico and Canada, and how we think that that might affect the stock market. Again, like I'm not able to like to tell the future. A lot of people like to ask me like, hey, what do I think is going to happen? I treat it as news, right? News can be either a positive or negative catalyst. If you do not understand, right? I'm not a fundamental trader, so I don't know exactly always how certain news is going to affect that specific company, because even sometimes good news, even if when its guidance might be a little bit off, even good news can be bad or detrimental to that specific company, and we've seen that multiple times. So what I like to do is if there's certain news, hype, or form of manipulation that is happening, I keep it very simple. You can simply not trade. And if you think that this series of news is going to have either a negative or a positive impact in the stock market, if you think it's going to be negative, then I think a very smart approach would be, and again, this is just my opinion, not something that you should do, but I would take a step back, wait for overall market conditions to go through that change, and for it to adjust. If it's good, great. If it's bad, then one thing that we can do is wait for that huge sell-off so it builds all this margin of opportunity. And then once that hype dies out and it starts to consolidate, again, 3 stages in a reversal. The sell-off, consolidation, and once you start seeing signs of that recovery, then because you were not originally invested in it, you can take advantage of that so-called opportunity. And I think that's a pretty conservative yet creative way on how to take advantage of this news by being able to at least wait for that to actually happen. The only thing that you might miss out on is if it's like really good news, then it could act as a positive catalyst. But let's be real, that should be the least of our worries. If it's great news, great. Then yes, you kind of missed out on that opportunity. There's so many that are presented to us like every week, right? So with that understanding, let's forget about, oh no, I don't want to miss out on this one deal, and focus a little bit more on like, let's make sure that we don't go from, that we don't give back anything, and focus more on just continuously growing our accounts. All right, what's up, what's up? So could you check CMG? Okay. So I wasn't going to do any like breakdowns or anything like that, but I'll check it out real quick. I think it's very simple to say. So CMG is still not, it's following overall market conditions as of right now. It pushed up, sold off, it's trending down, middle, bottom view up, not showing signs of an uptrend pattern. So again, there's not much to say. Same thing happening with Facebook, same thing happening with GDS, same thing happening with, AMD. Not like with major companies as of right now, they're pulling back. And as of right now, looking at CMG, it's showing signs of a descending pattern. This is all something that like you're able to do. So understand that if it's experiencing a pullback and it's a major company or a major ETF, right, then just know that the overall market is pulling back as of right now. If you don't feel comfortable trading, simply do not trade, right? And then also look at the big charts, 180-day, 20-day, 1 hour, and take get a understanding of the overall direction, the way that it's heading. As of right now, we can see that CMG is showing signs of a continuous uptrend pattern, but then you have to ask yourself, is the specific price point as of right now the best time to buy? No, it's very simple to say that, the SMA indicator is usually where it normally bounces at. It peaked out, it's showing signs of a sell-off, it's now descending, right, with the EMA line pointing down and the candles trending below the EMA line. Very simple, very easy to see. Let's wait for the sell-off, wait for the recovery, wait for the consolidation, and once you get that confirmation, then great, we're able to take advantage of that opportunity when it's presented to us. As of right now, I really don't see it. Yeah, so I'm still in Italy today. I actually have to go right now. It's 4 o'clock. I just wanted to go live very quickly, and I wanted to talk about and comment on this market pullback and how it's kind of treating overall market conditions. I want to make sure that a lot of us don't get too excited or too hyped up and stuff like that. Like, let's just keep our composure good. And make sure that we understand that these sell-offs aren't necessarily the worst things. It just means that maybe for the next either couple of hours or just today, we might not take a trade, right? Because the market is not in our favor. But again, if we don't take a trade today, not give anything back, and tomorrow because of the recovery that it could offer, we close a 2 to 5% day, that might be worth the opportunity of not taking anything today to profit on it tomorrow or the next day or the next day. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Wanted to make sure that we're here and our composure is there. And let's just keep it simple. If it's not trading in between the middle and top view up, it's probably not showing signs of an uptrend pattern intraday. And then also look at the overall direction of the 180-day 4-hour chart to make sure that you understand, or the 20-day 1 hour, whichever one's more relevant to you, the way that it's heading. You guys are smart people. You guys should understand direction, and if you guys don't, then I would encourage you to go through the course and to start practicing paper trading, just to practice a little bit more. There's nothing wrong with that, but one of the worst things that you can do is to try to overstep and try to start trading before you know that you're ready, and you should know, right? As you're taking a position, if you start to question certain things, then you're probably not ready, and you might need to practice a little bit more, and that's the great thing about it. Practice makes perfect, and no one like grew up knowing exactly how to do this. It all comes down with patience and practice. Yep. All right. What's going on, Sergio? So yeah, thank you guys again so much for your time. Hope you guys all have an amazing rest of your day. If you guys have any specific questions in the main chat and stuff like that, I'm going to try my best to try to be as active as possible. Again, I don't have the best service out here, so that's definitely not going to be the easiest. Again, and I also won't be responding to direct messages while I'm out here. So just try to put your question in the Q&A chat for Learn Plan Profit and tag me, and then I'll try my best to follow up with it. So I really do appreciate your guys' time. It looks like the market's trying to recover. Who really knows, right? As of right now I'm down. What is this? $120 on the open, or $100 on the open, $36 on the day. So the open is really what matters, because that's my overall position. So it looks like it's trying to recover. We'll see what happens. Looks like the SMA line might start acting as a resistance. And what is that one thing that we always say? Do you guys remember what's the one thing that we always say? Let me hear it whenever you guys are ready. What's the one thing that we always say? Yeah, not boom 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 though. Yeah, not that. Never go broke by locking in profits. There we go, Don. Don, thank you again so much for your help and for everything that is that you do. Thank you again, Ish, also for all your help and keeping the group together as well. So I really do appreciate this. The reason that I'm so comfortable, like I've never really done this, but yeah, lock in profits. LOL. It's because we have such an amazing community. So what's going on, Austin? You guys really motivate one another and help keep the group together. And I just want to tell you guys thank you again so much for all the time that you guys invest within our community. And it's become a huge asset of Learn, Plan, Profit, and really not just helping yourself grow, but also others. And I think that's the amazing thing about it. So thank you guys again, like always. Let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.